Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and today it's time to show you my Christmas book haul. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. A very happy new year to everyone. I do hope you had a good Christmas if you were celebrating. So yes, time to go through the fabulous books that Father Christmas brought me this year, or last year now. I got quite a stack. I ended up with quite a lot. I purposefully didn't ask for like Waterstones vouchers this year so that I couldn't go completely mad on books, but I've still done pretty darn well. So I will go through all of the books that I got for Christmas, stuff that I got on the day, and a couple of things that I did pick up with some vouchers, because there were some comics in there as well, graphic novels, and then I'll show you like a few bits of my other kind of Christmas presents that I got as well when we've done the bookish stuff. So let's start with one from my wife that I didn't expect at all, that I didn't even know existed, and that is this one. All of This Unreal Time by Max Porter. It's a beautiful little book, this, and it is signed by the man himself as well, which was excellent. So yeah, gorgeous little book. This is the script, or the kind of the words essentially of a short film that Porter did, I think in 2020, with Cillian Murphy. Those two seem to work together quite a bit. And yeah, Cillian Murphy's written the foreword, and I've got the script to read now. So it's all, you know, it's quite a strange layout. I expect it'll be quite poetic. I haven't seen the short film, funnily enough. My wife has, but it looks like it's got, you know, Porter's usual interesting layout, poetic language. So yes, I shall read this and then watch the film finally. So that's the first one. Brilliant little surprise. That haven't read it yet. I'm saving it for when I can properly sit down and devote some time to it. So probably in January. But yeah, really chuffed with that one. Then we've got a little gift from my buddy Troy Tradup. He'd already sent me one thing, which was a book about spiders, and then I'd mentioned about wanting to read some more werewolf books, and he sent me this one, Sharp Teeth, by Toby Barlow. And this is a werewolf novel with a difference, because it is all in poetic form. It's all in, you know, kind of verse, if you like, or I guess, you know, an epic poem. So that's fascinating. I'm really interested to dive into that and like see it done, you know, see the kind of werewolf stuff done differently. Yeah, I know Troy really likes this. So yes, I've had this on my list for a little while, my wish list for a little while, since Troy mentioned it a while back. And then yes, and lovely to have a copy on the shelf ready and waiting. Okay, on to stuff from my mum, or my mum and dad. More poetry. There's a lot of poetry this year. This was one that was on my list to Santa, and that's Brian Bilston, Days Like These, an alternative guide to the year in 366 poems. And this is what the blurb says. In this playful, innovative collection, Brian Bilston writes a poem to accompany every day of the year. Each poem is inspired by a significant, often curious event associated with that day. From opening an umbrella indoors day to the day on which New York banned public flirting. From the launch of the Rubik's Cube to the first appearance of the phrase, the best thing since sliced bread. I love Brian Bilston's stuff. I've really got into his stuff on Instagram this year. And I read a poem of his when I did my little poetry video a couple of months ago, because they're very humorous, but they can often be quite touching as well. So yeah, that one was on my list for Santa, so Santa delivered. Another one that was on my list, more poetry, and that's Lobster by Holly McNish, or Nish. I am really excited to get into this one. Another poet that I've been following on social media for quite a while now, actually, and like social media in terms of Instagram and YouTube as well. Holly does some, puts some of her performance readings on, things like that. But she is, I think, my favourite poet at the moment, and has been for a little while. I haven't kind of talked about her on the channel that much yet, but she will be cropping up in the new year when I go back to doing a couple of more poetry videos. But I'm going to read this first because I'm sure there'll be some new stuff in here that I haven't come across yet. But lovely hardback book. Only came out last year, this one. This is her newest. But yeah, she's brilliant. She's just so down to earth. She says things how they are. She's kind of quite raw poet, visceral, very funny, can bring the snark, can be very biting. Great like observational stuff about just the world and how people live and the sort of things that people say and stuff like that. I love her. I think she's brilliant. Can't wait to dive into that. And then the last book from my mum of poetry, and this is the National Trust Book of Nature Poems. Treasured Classics and New Favourites, edited by Deborah Almer. So this has got, it says these are classic poems by well-known poets alongside rousing works by poets writing today. So we've got John Keats, William Butler Yeats, Alfred Lord Tennyson, Robert Browning, Christina Rossetti, Philip Larkin, Sylvia Plath, John Masefield, Robert Burns, Dylan Thomas, Caroline Duffy, Simon Armitage, Glyn Maxwell, and many others. Yeah, really, really great to have this because I don't know a huge amount of nature poems. I have some favourites, but I don't really know my way around nature poetry at all. And this is full of lovely little illustrations as well, like nature illustrations, like that, little black and white illustrations throughout. Really beautiful work, and some colour stuff as well, like in sections. So yeah, that's great. That'll introduce me hopefully to the work of quite a few more poets, because I do want to expand my knowledge of poetry and poets this year, 2025. So yeah, excellent choice from my mum. I know there is another book coming from my mum that didn't arrive by the time I went there on Boxing Day on the 26th of December. So there's another surprise book coming at some point, but probably not for a little while, because I won't see my ma for a little while now. Okay, on to the stuff from my sister. My sister has managed to find, I think, possibly the most cerebral, the most challenging book that I might ever read. This one, Bum or Face. Yeah, this is my sister through and through. She knows my sense of humour, and yeah, this is highly entertaining. Kids book, obviously, teaching her about animals and things like that. But yeah, Bum or Face. Well done to my sister for that one. Then we've got into the proper books now from my sis. She goes and searches around all of the second-hand places and picks up stuff for me, stuff that might be on my list, but also stuff that she just thinks that I'll like. So first up, we've got Sheep by Simon McGinn. This is one that is on my horror reading project this year. Not until a little bit later in the year. So yeah, great to have a hard copy of Sheep. She also got me Blood Music by Greg Bear, which has been on my kind of wish list for quite some time. It's not part of my science fiction for the somewhat less hesitant reading this year, but it will probably, either it'll get read as an kind of extra science fiction, sort of classic if you like, or it will go into year 3's schedule for whatever science fiction for the somewhat less hesitant becomes. Science fiction for the somewhat obsessed, probably by that point. So yeah, Greg Bear, Blood Music. I hear really good things about this in terms of, you know, its horror elements. It sounds quite creepy. Then this one, I was really chuffed with this one. The Birds by Daphne du Maurier short story collection. This is a lovely collection. This is a what's the edition? Virago Modern Classics. This one. But yeah, I love the hardback, the design on the hardback. This is a really nice copy. And this, I've been wanting to read The Birds for ages, because The Birds is one of my favourite horror movies, thriller horror movies. And yeah, like a lot of people have said, like the short story of The Birds is even better, it's brilliant. And I've never read any du Maurier either, so I think it's about time I give her stuff a go. Because I might enjoy some of her other stuff as well, like Rebecca or Jamaica Inn, things like that. I'm not entirely sure, so I want to see what her style's like, and then I can make a decision. But I just really want to read The Birds, but I'll definitely enjoy the whole collection of that. And then finally, she found this lovely chonker of Stephen King's Needful Things. This was on my list because I'm just kind of collecting up some Stephen King hard copies that I want for my big old Stephen King reading project as the years go on. And I was just thinking, a standard, modern paperback. But she found this, and I'm so glad she did. And yeah, it's a chonker. It's a brick. It weighs a ton. But I love like old school hardcover Stephen King. And I tend to go for King on audio these days more than anything else. But Needful Things, I know I don't want on audio because it's read by King, and I'm not a massive fan of him reading his own stuff. I've done a little bit before, and I don't really like it. So I want to read this one. But yeah, this is a cracking old hardback. Where is this? This is a fifth impression of it, but it's still from 91 when it came out. So yeah, great. I love it. Absolutely love it. These proper old school, big old chunky hardcover Stephen King. So that's a great find from my sister, that one. So those were the ones that were gifted to me, that I unwrapped on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And then I've got a few that I picked up with vouchers as well. So I got a couple in a sale in Manchester. I went into Manchester the other day. So I picked up Hell House, which is on my horror reading project as well. I think in April I've got this. And Kelsey from Slime and Slashers might join me for a buddy read on this. If we can fit it in, that would be awesome. But yeah, really interested in, really looking forward to reading that one. And then this one was to complete just, impulse buy. Well, I say a little bit. It's an impulse buy in terms of the actual specific book. But I think I've really got, I think, Adrian Tchaikovsky to blame for this. So yeah, Other Lands by Thomas Halliday, A World in the Making. This is history of life on Earth, so evolution. But it looks really, really interesting, and it's kind of, a lot of the stuff about it sort of says that it's written. It's almost like an adventure story slash kind of, or maybe more like nature writing, but it's natural history. And he approaches it quite interestingly by the looks of it, that he goes back in time. He starts, kind of in sort of the thaw of the Pleistocene, and then he works his way back, all the way back to sort of Cambrian and the one before that, which I can't pronounce. Ediacaran? I'm not sure. But yeah, this looks fascinating. It's got lots of like pictures in it and tables and maps and things like that, which will help me. But yeah, reading Tchaikovsky and the fact that evolution often comes up in his stuff, natural history often comes up in his work, has just, it's one of those where I kind of rabbit hole into other things from his science fiction, and kind of find myself wanting to learn more about the actual science of what he's talking about. And this just, I'd heard of this before, but hadn't actually ever really picked up and looked at it. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, okay. And then read the blurbs and stuff like that for it. I thought, yeah, that's absolutely, that's the right sort of thing for me. I think I need, I don't want it to be too sciencey. I need it to be accessible. when it's non-fiction science or non-fiction natural history, things like that. I need it to have a certain tone to it for me to be able to kind of stick with it, focus on it, follow along and stuff. And just reading a few bits of that, I think I'll be fine. I think I'll really get something out of that. So those are the two that I picked up in the sale there. Then I spent some vouchers on some comics and graphic novels. That's what I asked for this year. Rather than Waterstones, I asked for some vouchers for Travelling Man. This is from my in-laws, who always like to get me vouchers for something. And Travelling Man is my local comic and games shop. So I could go in there and not spend it all on comics if I didn't want to, spend it on other things, which I did a little bit of, which I'll show you later. But the comics that I picked up, comics, graphic novels, manga. First one is the first volume of I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. This looks bonkers. I've had this on my list for quite some time to try. And it's so bright and sort of silly kind of artwork, just really fun artwork. But I think the story is quite, it looks quite bonkers. Things like that. I love the colourful stuff. And I think it'll be a real kind of just a great, fun, quick read. When I haven't got the kind of the eyes for loads of text or the concentration levels for loads of listening or whatever, this will be absolutely up my street. When I just want a good laugh and to pore over some of the artwork, because it's quite detailed as well, and just the colour work in it I absolutely love. So yeah, really looking forward to trying some of that out. Then I found another Emily Carroll, which I haven't read, which is When I Arrived at the Castle. It says, rain-drenched and chilled to the bone, she arrives at the Countess's castle. Like many before her, none of whom have returned, she's determined to snuff out the horrors within. But could she ever be prepared for what hides within its turrets, what unfurls under its fluttering flags? It says, Emily Carroll's hair-raising tale, charged with eroticism, won't just make your skin crawl, it will crawl underneath it. What I've read of Emily Carroll before, I've read a couple of hers, I love her stuff, both her storytelling and her artwork. I really love it's kind of the theatricality of it, but I love her use of a very limited colour palette and what she does with that. She's excellent. Her layouts, things like that, are brilliant, and genuinely creepy. They are genuinely creepy, these things, but they're so much fun to read, to look at. So yeah, I mean, the guy in the comic book shop when I bought this said, "Oh, if you want to join us for a book group at the shop, we're reading this. Like, I think it's the first." They're meeting to talk about it, the 7th of January or something. And so I said, come along if you want. So I might do that. If I can get round to it and get it read and have a chance to go into Manchester again, I might go and do that. It might be quite nice to go and meet a load of comic nerds in the comic book shop and chat about this. So we'll see. But yeah, it was nice to be invited to do that. And then the final one that I got is H.P. Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth, or Innsmouth, I guess you probably pronounce that, by the adaptation and artwork by Gao, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Tanabe. Now, I read Tanabe's At the Mountains of Madness adaptation, Volume 1, earlier in 2024. And I loved it. It very nearly made my top 10 of the year. And I do need to source the second part. But I found this one instead. And this looks creepy as hell. The artwork in it really is something else. I don't know whether you can see that. But it's like that the artwork is so detailed. There's so many kind of like that. It's brilliant. I love it. His artwork is so detailed and so intriguing. You get some great double page spreads in this, and this is this will be the full story of this rather than having to split it into two parts. So it's a good big chonker. But yeah, I absolutely loved his adaptation of the Mountains of Madness, and I think this potentially is a good way for me to enjoy Lovecraft, because I'm not a massive fan of Lovecraft's writing. But I do like the visual imagery. I like the ideas. I like the mythos, the lore, things like that. And the way that Tanabe depicts it and tells the story through the images largely, because there is a lot of stuff which doesn't have any text to it. It is told through a series of images, very much so. That's the way for me, I think, to experience it, experience Lovecraft's stories. So yeah, really excited to get into this one, as I say, because the At the Mountains of Madness was phenomenal. So those are all the books that I got for Christmas, whether on the day or with vouchers afterwards. So a flipping good haul that. I've got plenty of great stuff. Some stuff that will kind of sit on the shelves and wait for, you know, a project read, or, you know, when I've got a mood read, you know, I can pick it up as a mood read. Plenty of poetry. That's really, really good for me because I can dip in and out of that quite a bit. And comics and manga, brilliant, because that is a real good break for my brain from text or audio. It's a real different way of reading, so really good to have some of that in stock to read. So yeah, really good. So what else did I get then? I'll just quickly show you some of the other bits and pieces that I got. I got something a bit that's book related. Those are cute, little magnetic dog bookmarks. And my wife got a set of cat bookmarks. I think these were from my mum and dad. So we're probably going to split them, the two each of the cats and dogs. But those are well cute, and I'll much less likely to lose those than paper bookmarks. Then my sister, I've mentioned before, like I like model kits and making kits and things like that. And my sister always finds like random stuff for me. She got these sim bricks, so they're like pixel kind of pictures that you put together, you kind of clip together. This one's obviously gaming, but you can make lots of other things with them. You've got plenty of stuff on the back that you can make there. So 2,500 bricks. So that will keep me occupied whilst I do audiobooks. And one that's kind of reading related, at least for me. If you've watched the channel this year, you'll know that I've started to get into kind of Warhammer books, fiction, novels, things like that. And I've got into the painting of the models as well. When I was in the model shop, the comic and model shop, I found this little guy. This is a model of Grombrindal, another warrior dwarf. And I've got some books in my Audible wish list which feature Grombrindal. So I think I'm going to get one of those, and at some point I will listen to that and paint the dude as well. I think that's quite a nice way to mix those hobbies up. So yeah, that should be fun. So yeah, pick that up. That should be great fun to do. What else? Oh, speaking of models, I've wanted to try one of these for a while. This is another thing I picked up in the model shop. Gundam, Gunpla. You can see this is obviously the dude that I'll be building. But this is kind of quite, I think, one of the more involved kinds of Gunpla models. They're a bit of a minefield to try and figure out, you know, which ones to get and what you want and stuff like that. But this is what's called a real grade, and so this should keep me occupied for a while, I should think. These are all plastic that you kind of snip out and clip together, but they are quite involved, and they're very kind of mechanically complex as well for plastic models. I've watched quite a lot of YouTube on them, and I think they look brilliant. I think this is going to be brilliant fun to do this. So yeah, that's another one, something else to keep me out of trouble. And the last couple of things then, and my wife got me this just as a kind of a little comfort squishy toy from Kenji. I love these they're so soft and twiddly, so I can just sit upstairs when it's cold and just, you know, whilst I read through stories, or, you know, kind of read through my proofreading and editing kind of, you know, kind of educational materials, things like that, I've got something to squish. Yeah, I know, I'm a big softie. She also got me my Batman blankets, because it gets cold in the loft, and I do like Batman. Do really like Batman. So she always picks me up something Batman-y for Christmas as a sort of a joke present, but this is practical. It's helping to keep my knees warm. And then I also got some nice slippers. That's my slippers. As well, to keep my feet toasty. So I'm all roasty toasty, with plenty of things to read, or plenty of things to make, and also plenty of things to eat. The amount of like foodie bits as well is ridiculous that I've got enough biscuits, I think, probably to last me until August, and enough chocolate probably to get me that far as well. It won't. It will probably get me to the end of February, I think. That's a conservative estimate. So yeah, plenty of lovely stuff to eat, and plenty of lovely stuff to read, and yeah, just a really lovely Christmas. Very, very grateful to all of my family and friends who've given me lots of wonderful stuff. So there we go. That's you caught up with my big old book haul for Christmas, and a few of my other bits and pieces. So I will leave it there for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do let me know what you got for Christmas, any favourite books you got from Santa, or any other kind of like random presents that you're really, really chuffed with. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'll be back on Sunday with my thoughts on The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, the penultimate review of 2024's science fiction for the somewhat hesitant reads. Got that one, and then one more, and then we'll be into 2025 schedule. So I do hope you'll join me for that then. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.